Hello, everyone, and welcome to Red Valkyrie Presents. Feels like it's been a minute.
You are all up on that mic. Okay.
I am really not.
I just reduced you by 90%, and I can still hear you clearly.
Wow.
Thanks.
Shae coming in hot.
She is.
All I did was say hot. You know what?
No, it's the fact that you're an inch from your mic when before you were sitting 2 feet back.
I am sitting in the exact same fucking spot I was sitting in before we started, bitch.
Sure.
Oh, you know what? You do this, since clearly...
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Red Valkyrie Presents. I'm joined with my amazingly beautiful, awesome, intelligent, outstanding co-host, Shae the Red, who completely knows where she's sitting in her chair at any given time. How are you, Shae?
Fuck off. How you doing, Brian? It's good to see you. It's been a minute.
It's good to be back. Thanks for having me. I didn't mean to start this kind of conflict, but I've sort of been embroiled in conflict lately, so why not?
Well, look, let's be real. Nobody has to start this conflict. This is just forever brewing between the two of us.
It is. And Gordon, it's never too late. And always too late.
I like Chris's comment. Coming in hot was Cy's nickname in high school.
There's several things I could say to that. I'm not going to touch it.
Well, nope. Okay, I'm not going to anyway.
Better than coming in cold.
Oh, and you always touch it. Let's be real. Anyway.
That's how you get it warm.
Such an inappropriate conversation for the book that we have on today.
It is wholesome.
The guest can handle it, but the book is sort of, the opposite.
Yeah, the book is very different from this, just so you all know. It's very wholesome. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and do the cosplay reveal. Unless, Sai has better things to do.
Actually talking to our chat, the people who, yeah.
Metamorphosis completed, sir.
Shae the Red
Has now become
an asshole.
Awesome.
I haven't now become. I've always been.
You really have always been an asshole.
Thank you. I work very hard on that.
I don't know if it's a put down if I say that you're my flavor of asshole or if that's just a knock on me or
I think we're just gonna leave it alone. But
She's the nicest asshole you'll ever meet.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Can I also say I really love that you have a redhead as one of the big characters in here, and she has long hair, and I just chopped all my hair off, so that was super funny.
Oh,
so I was like, oh, let me look at all these cosplays, and I was like, oh wait,
not when we scheduled you.
It was perfect when we first scheduled you, and then I chopped all my hair off. So
oh my gosh,
it's fine. I had this lying around, oddly enough, for some reason.
All right. Well, it looks great. I appreciate you doing Aylin. We'll be talking about her later. Yeah, I love it.
She seems super cute. I've only seen her in the cover, but just the way that she's posted just seems like a cute girl. So for anyone who doesn't know why we're here for the Shifter, which is actually you have the exclusive rights for this as a comic book, but it actually is a young adult novel, correct?
It's a young adult novel that is actually part of a trilogy. So yes, you're absolutely right.
That is awesome. Very cool. Well, tell us a little bit about this. Because,
Real quick, let me turn on the music.
Oh, butts are tight. Some are, yeah, for sure. For sure.
To all of us.
What?
You could have just turned on the music.
Oh.
You didn't have to tell us if that's what you're doing.
Well, I didn't want you guys to think it suddenly became a porno. I don't know what music is coming up. So, go ahead.
Fantastic. Anyway. Okay, well now that we've maintained that this is horribly inappropriate for this book, Brian, why don't you tell us about how wholesome this book is?
Okay. It's going to be hard to follow all of that. So I can tell you about a little bit how this came to be. So my wife read the trilogy first. She knows that I like science fiction fantasy, like Sword of Ice and Fire, Wheel of Time, things like that, Sword of Truth. And she said, although this is geared toward a young adult audience, I think you'd really, really like this. She said, so try the first one. If it's not your cup of tea, set it aside and go back to the others. She said, but I think you're gonna. And she was right. I read all 3 of them probably within a week. Loved the series. Janice Hardy does such a great job with world building, with setting, getting you intrigued and identifying with the characters. So I had just finished reading it. I don't normally talk to my friends about the novels I read because, it's kind of one of those you had to be there kind of things. But I had just finished it. My friend Steve called to talk about something. So I said, hey, I just read this trilogy called The Healing Wars. He goes, oh, yeah, I've read that. I'm like, oh, awesome. What did you think? He goes, I thought it was really good. You want to talk to the author?
Oh, what?
I'm like, what? I'm like,
I'm sorry. You just know her? Okay.
Yeah, it turns out he works with her husband.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy.
He and her husband both work from home, and they're like 1,800 miles apart, but they work for the same company. So he got me in touch with Janice through her husband, and I pitched my idea like, this could be a great comic book series. I think there's enough intrigue and action, and it's just fun. And honestly, my comic books are sometimes adult, and I think that it would be cool to bring into the fold something that is all ages. And I don't mean to say that this is for kids. I mean this is truly all ages. Because like I said, I was in my early 50s when I read the trilogy. So it's definitely something that can appeal to all ages. As a comic book collector for over 50 years now, I think that I know a good story that will adapt well. So I reached out to her and said, hey, what do you think? I gave her my pitch. She and her husband are kind of comic book fans, not like the 3 of us are, but they're kind of comic book fans, and she said that's a great idea. So we hammered out a license agreement, and here we are trying to get the shifter funded and produced. This is the first. Cool. It's the first of a mini series. So if all goes well, I plan to create 5 comic books for each of the novels.
Oh, neat.
Oh, wow.
So there could be 15 comic books involved in this agreement.
Wow.
I've already got the first 10 written.
Very cool. That is
so
you are always so ambitious with the stuff that you take on, which I've found so entertaining, because you're always like, I kind of met this person, and I'm thinking maybe we just, I don't know, do like 15 comic books off of your novels. Like, that's cool, right? You're good? And she's just like, okay. Like, you do it, I guess? I don't know.
Well, one of the great things about putting this, trying to keep her vision intact is she's my editor.
Oh, wow.
Well,
yeah.
There you go. If you're off base with any of it, there you go.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Sai, that's a good point, because there was a part of the adaptation where, I have to say that, this 28-page book is going to represent about 94 pages of the novel. And there was a scene in there where she thought, I'm not sure that this one would be good for the comic book. How about use this one instead? And heck yeah, if that's something she'd like to see in comic book form. And, I've asked her to be my editor. I definitely want to keep her vision alive. So I went with it. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's like Stephen King. That's like Stanley Kubrick making Stephen King the editor of The Shining.
Right.
And then what would he have to bitch about? Because, it was all in his hands in the end, so.
Right.
Well, and this
Good
is
point.
it's so much fun to see so many people within this industry that just kind of.
Painter.
Are you good, Sai?
No, read Crooked Painter.
I was going to say it's so interesting to see like all of the creative areas that people within this industry go, and like we all have so many different loves and hobbies and interests, and I love seeing people that go out and just kind of bring all of that into this fold of comic books, because it is such a versatile medium, and it's so interesting to see where people go.
Oh, absolutely. A friend that I met through this industry is named Curtis Fujita. He is a sifu of the martial arts, which is it's the kung fu version of what's sensei, what a lot of people think of for karate. So he is sifu Curtis Fujita. He wrote Shadow Ghost, and it's all about his martial arts. So it's like, and in fact, I think it's been opted for a television cartoon series now. So I'm super jelly, but I'm so glad that he's taken that love of his. I mean, he's in it so long that he's a master at it, and now he's writing comic books about it. So you're right. A lot of people with all of their loves, it's great to see them folded together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, the coloring on this cover. Thank you, Shadowpunk. You're right. Yeah, the colorist on this cover is also the colorist throughout this issue, if we make it, and it's Josh Rodriguez.
Very nice.
I gotta say, I was typing this out in the chat, and then I didn't know how well it would be received. I love the pants, both of their pants, because doing tight pants is really a lot of fun. You gotta put in the right little squiggles for the stress points. They look great.
Right. Well, and the fact that it really is on tight pants. All the stress points are at the knee. It's all behind the knee that everything folds up all awkwardly, and then everything else is like, oh no, it's buttery smooth on the thighs, on the calves, but the knee is where you can't help it. It's always
and you got the creases in the hip joints, and you got some gathering at the ankles, which as it should be. Yeah.
Exactly. Very well done.
As someone who is now wearing women's tight pants, I can confirm all of those things.
Yep.
So I can't confirm. I'm not wearing any right now.
Brian's like, I'm pantsless. It's fantastic.
Oh, Chris, that is so wrong.
She's protecting the chicken. Leave the chicken alone.
Okay, so this cover actually captures what happens on the very first page. As you can see here, she's stealing the chicken. She's not choking it. She's not gonna put it into a fight. She's stealing it. So yeah, the cover that you saw there that we were talking about, the tight pants, Renzo Rodriguez did that cover, and his first version of that cover was super sexy. So I had to write him back and say, you do a fantastic job with the ladies, but this is a 15-year-old. He's like,
you're like, this is very sexy. She is a child. Can you please?
It's like, back. Oh, okay.
Next time when you give him the write-up, put that in bold red.
This is a child, please. Dress accordingly.
Yeah, he then strategically placed the chicken on the cover so that the boobas weren't like very prominent, and then he also turned her waist slightly so that it wasn't a major ass shot.
Nice.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, you say that, and then I look at this and I go, I can see what the original cover was.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm like, well enough.
Wow, that shadow is a little out of place there. That's interesting that it's on that hip. Oh, now I know.
This all makes sense now.
Yep.
I also love this very first panel. I love the look on her face and the fact that she is literally, because I mean she's 15, right? The fact that she's literally like this as she sneaks up on a chicken.
Yeah,
you're like, you do realize this is not how you're gonna catch the chicken. Like, you're not gonna swoop down from above and catch. Like, if you've ever tried to catch a chicken, that's not how you do it. They get away from you very quickly.
Well,
I don't know. When you have a glowy hand.
She's clearly not using the glowy hand.
Yeah. The glowy hand would not help in this situation.
Stealthy hand.
I also love that she's being confronted by some swashbuckling fellow teen.
Right.
Like
he's he becomes prominent in the story too.
the way he's standing, he is 100% 15. There's no 15-year-old, like no adult is going to like approach somebody with a sword and be like, haha, I am Zoro. Like,
Right.
this so like you guys have done such a good job in capturing the fact that they're kids, and then all of a sudden you see this guy right here, and he's like, what the fuck is happening here? And it's just like, oh, that's the adult. That makes sense. That's how I would approach that exactly. So yeah.
Yes. You know, one of the things that Dilson Costa, the interior artist, does is he captures teenagers correctly. He doesn't just draw a smaller adult. He draws these teens. He makes the facial features softer, even like
more
Vanello
rounded.
standing there. The way, I mean, yeah, you're right. His pose is like what a kid might do if they had a sword. But also,
I don't know if any kid at 15 didn't stand like that if they had a sword or a freaking wrapping paper tube in their hand. Like that's exactly you're like, haha.
But he also built him with a kid's frame there. That's not a man's frame in that picture.
No.
So I think he does a great job, and he does so too with kids that are even younger. If you scroll up to the first cover, the one that Zilson did, right there on the bottom left, you see Talia is like a 6-year-old, and he even captures that young very well.
Right.
So yeah, he does a great job with this. I'm so glad he's back with Dojo Kun Comics. He was my artist on issues number 3 and 4 of Siamese. So we've been working together since around 2013.
You have some feedback from the chat, Shae.
They are bound and determined to make this an unwholesome show.
I mean, look, this is our audience. That's all they know.
Oh yeah, no worries.
They don't know anything else. Bless them.
Perfectly fine. Looking at this page here, I have a great rapport with Zilson. When I write the scripts, I write them as if it's a play or a screenplay because I've been an actor since I was in the 6th grade. So that's kind of how I envision it. So I write it very specific. This person's going to stand here. This is going to be a camera angle from above. But because I truly believe that the artist is just as much a storyteller as the writer, I give them leeway. I say, Zilson, if you have a better idea, you've got a neat, do that and we'll hash it out. And he came up with the puzzle pieces there at the top. I basically said I'd like to show her progressing through her morning looking for work. She's homeless and an orphan, and she's got to find work, and she's not having any luck. So he did this, and I'm like, oh, brilliant. Yes, brilliant.
It took me half a second because he did the first panel, like that top panel, he did so seamlessly, where it goes from one to the other, that I didn't realize it's her talking to 3 different people at first. It looked like it was one big shot, and I thought they were just other people in the background, but then you look at it and you go, oh no, that's her getting turned down once, twice, 3 times, down to the bottom 4, 5, and then I'm standing in the middle, and it looks like there is no 6th. Like, you're screwed. There's nowhere else to go. So it's just like, oh my gosh, that is really, really ingenious because it shows that, like, long walk down the dock trying to find a place to work, and the lack of shame, because normally if you go someplace and you were in an open air market and somebody turns you down for work, that everyone else in the nearby vicinity just heard that you got turned down for work. Most people wouldn't be like, let me go to the next store. And she's like, fuck it, I need to eat. I don't care. Like, food is important right now.
The chicken didn't work out, so
she had to get the chicken back. She got caught.
Well, yeah.
She got caught by the swashbuckling 15-year-old.
Right? So here's some more pictures of Aylin, by the way, Shae. She's okay, so I think you're going to like this about her. She is another teen. She's Naya's best friend, but she works outside what's known as a gentleman's club. That sounds about right. She is basically trying to entice the men to go inside. She can't work inside because she's a kid. But she can entice others, right? She can entice others. Now, we never see the inside of the club. We don't see what goes on in the club. If you're an adult and you know what that is, you know what that is. I don't need to
It is
explain
gambling and patty cake. That's all that
There's a
happens.
lot of patty cake.
And if you don't know what goes on in there, you don't need to know.
It's fine. It's not. Don't worry about it. You're not missing out. This isn't like when your parents make you go to bed and then you know that they're having like massive parties without you. That's not what's happening.
That's not what's happening. No. So Zilson also does a great job capturing facial expressions. You see that on the top right of the next page there, where she's looking out into the rain. At the top right of the previous page, where she's talking and Aelin is surprised. Again, great capture of facial expressions. Zilson is he's great to work with. Yeah, right there in the top upper right. So, yep.
Yeah. That right there.
She has nice hair.
I know. I love her.
It's almost drawn like sea foam. You know what I mean?
Oh, neat.
Yeah, I
That's
can
a good
kind of
point.
see that. It's so the thing is and anyone who has even like somewhat curly hair kind of understands this. Trying to maintain curls.
Jesus, Chris.
Damn it, Chris. Trying to maintain curls is really difficult, and so when people draw them and they draw them a little bit kind of overly voluptuous and everything, and instead of being super refined ringlets, like some people love to do that super tight refined. That is so hard as like a real human being. That is so hard to maintain every day and to actually have show. Normally it ends up being something soft and kind of brushed out and windswept, and it just looks more like a mass. And so the fact that you get to see it here and she's outside and her hair's kind of flipping and it looks like that, I'm like, that's what it's like when you're outside and you have curly hair and you're, dancing around and it gets a little hot. Like, that's what your hair will look like, especially if you're by the ocean. Like, there's no chance for ringlets there. That's not happening.
Right.
So this is really interesting. So, all right, you have a 20-page ash can that's going along with this, and this is all just like making of.
Yeah, this is like the original sketch, then the inking, then the color, and then introducing some of the characters that you'll see in the book and things like that. I always like the behind the scenes, or move the curtain aside and see how the hot dogs are made. I love seeing these as extra content with the campaigns that I support. So I thought, well, they always say make what you love, so this was one of the things I love to do. So I put that in there.
Absolutely. And then you have something that I think is really cool and kind of interesting that you're adding in with this whole, amalgamation. You have a coloring book.
Yes. I've seen a couple of coloring books in campaigns before. I saw one that was entirely just a coloring book campaign. So I thought this would be fun with this all ages book to have this opportunity too. If you're buying this for your daughter, your niece, hell, your son, it doesn't matter. If you're buying it for someone who's younger and they like the color, this could be a perfect companion to it.
Well, and so here's an even funny thing that you probably haven't considered, because normally you think of coloring book, you think of children, right? I follow a couple of artists on YouTube, one of which who literally has made her entire channel based off of coloring. Like, that's
Really?
just what she does. And she shows how you can take colored pencils and, pastels and all that kind of stuff. And all she's doing is she's coloring in a lot of different kinds of color pages, like what these sorts of things would be. And she's kind of giving people tips, and she's showing like how paperweight matters and depending on what you're working on. But she makes her whole channel off of coloring things, usually Disney. And so there's even opportunities in places like that, if you have coloring books, that you can potentially reach out to some of these other creators.
If you could send me that in my private DMs or something, I'd love to reach out. Maybe
I will. I'll send you her YouTube channel. Yeah, and that's
a free copy and say, hey, what do you think?
Well, and that's the thing is, that's something that you can think of when you're trying to think outside of the box and trying to get more people involved. Yes. Things that a lot of people think are very geared towards kids, which, granted, the vast majority of people who use coloring books are going to be children. There's also a really large adult section of people who color as a way to de-stress, as a way to kind of relax in their days, or as a way to practice. Like, a lot of people that want to get better at art and coloring, practicing on coloring pages and practicing various color theory is kind of like a low threat way to do that.
Yeah, you're right. Good point.
Okay, so this is also a really cool thing that you have, a one of a kind glittered sketch card by Dave Ryan. Now explain this.
Okay. Dave Ryan is an artist I reached out to and asked him for a sketch card. He came up with the idea to include glitter in his coloring of the art. So, in her eyeliner, on her lips, and in her power manifestation, there's glitter. So it's not like a card that I can reproduce. There's going to just be one. And on the back, he wrote his name and he signed it, so it's autographed and all that. So I think that's fun. And I don't know if it's all right with you to do so, but if you're looking at the campaign on your own and you want to click that link there, it takes you to a very short YouTube video that shows him turning the card back and forth so you can see the glitter effect.
Very cool. If I do that, I'm gonna have to reshare.
Yeah, that's okay.
So everybody go check it out.
But not right now. Wait till after the show.
Yeah, I mean, do it. Or if you're like me and you have like 30 monitors, just put it up on one of your other monitors while you still listen to us, and please don't go away. We love you.
Yeah.
Stay here. Yeah. So, and then you have this other. This is so funny because when you first show this, you see this, you don't have scale. And so I was like, oh, it's huge. And then I saw that and was like, ah, damn it.
Well, yeah, this is 3D printed. It takes 16 hours to do the size you see here. So that's why there are only 10 of them. My local printer said, yeah, I'll do 10. So, okay, that's how many are available. So Danilo is the guy you see in the tight pants on the cover. You just see the back of his leg, and he's got that wicked sword.
Yes.
I'm going to say that from now on. Danilo of the tight pants.
There you go. So yeah, the ink comes out like a black and red. I loved how this looks in the finished product, and yeah, it's a great piece to add with it because Danilo becomes pretty significant in the story too.
Awesome. That definitely would be a cool thing to have chilling on your desk. You could probably try to use it as a letter opener, but I don't think you're gonna get very far.
Yeah, probably not.
But it's still cool. It's a lot of people like the little like tchotchkes and everything. I'm actually trying to slow down on those because I have too much clutter in my house. So I'm trying to get less of them. But it's really hard when I see things that look super cool like this to be like, no, I'm not allowed to have it, even though it's awesome.
It's a self-imposed rule. You're allowed to break it.
I know. But my paycheck would disagree. All right, so you've got a couple of stretch goals here that obviously we've got to get to funded first. And
right.
How much more time do we have?
We have a lot of time on the funding.
Oh, wow.
The FundMyComic site allows you to go as long as you'd like. And the reason I chose to go a whole year isn't just greed or pessimism. What it really is giving myself the opportunity to find new audiences like the one you mentioned a few minutes ago, the one that maybe the coloring book audience. Because, as you can see, the small circles of indie comics that I'm currently involved in, I've only got 10 backers and it's been quite a while. So I think too many people are hearing that it's young adult oriented and maybe shying away, and it pains me that might be the case because honestly, all audiences will love this. I really mean that, not just because I'm producing it.
And that's the thing that's really interesting that people kind of need to understand. There's a difference between geared for children and young adult. Young adult, if you actually go through and look at the vast majority of stuff that is being pushed out in like for movies and things like that, most of that is young adult. Most of that would be considered young adult.
You're right.
There's plenty that adults love in it, but most of that is young adult.
I would liken this trilogy to either The Hunger Games or Divergent. Basically, it's, Naya, the main character, starts off with meager beginnings. I said she's homeless. She's an orphan. She starts out very meager, but then goes through the whole archetypical hero's journey. So by the end of the trilogy, she becomes a significant player in the whole world. So it's definitely starts out a lot like Katniss Everdeen, where she doesn't even know what the Hunger Games are, and she becomes world famous, et cetera, et cetera. So it's because of her heroism, because of the choices she makes. And I can say this too, she doesn't always make the right choice. She doesn't.
Nor should she. She's a child. Like,
you're
no
right.
one makes the right choice all the time.
If you're going through the hero's journey stories, you'll find out that the main characters often have to go through some shit before they figure out their stuff,
Yeah, that's kind of what makes them interesting.
It makes them
otherwise, like
too.
if you just all of a sudden are, oh yeah, I have this and I don't have any issues and I just automatically know exactly what's right and what's wrong, like that's boring as hell.
She's not a Mary Sue. She's not from the Marvel universe where every woman is suddenly better than everyone around her. So yeah,
the MCU.
She's not an MCU character, right? So let's talk about the glowy hands for a minute. What is that, right? So some people
Hot
in Naya's
sauce.
world, some people in Naya's world can move pain from a person into a blue metal known as pinvium. Oftentimes, they will fashion that metal into the form of a weapon. So now, if you're hit with a weapon fashioned by this blue metal, you'll get all of the pain the weapon would normally deal, plus all of the pain that those people have shifted into it. So it makes the weapons, even more painful, even more lethal. Naya, however, her gift is flawed. She can only transfer pain from one person to another. And I say only, but that actually makes her more dangerous because she brings the pain into herself and then can later push it into someone else. So she becomes the weapon. Her nation, it's a little island nation. It was taken over by an occupying force from another country. If they find out she can do that, they'll weaponize her against her own people. So now she's got to do this on the down low while she's struggling to find somewhere to live, food to eat, work to do in order to get those things. So it's quite a struggle at the beginning. Her sister is a member of the Healers League. Her sister can push the stuff into the metal, but some nefarious things are going on in the Healers League, and Naya has to save her from there. So imagine trying to break into something like Vatican.
Sure, it'll go fine.
Oh yeah, no problem.
I'm sure
she couldn't steal a chicken.
this is accurate. Her chicken stealing skills are pretty rough, so I mean, don't know how well that's gonna work. But yeah, this is a really cool kind of series. It seems like it's a lot of fun. It seems like there's a lot for really kind of anyone who might be interested in reading it. It seems like you're gonna find at least a character that you like, if not several. And this is fulfilling October of next year, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So
how much of it is currently done?
I'd say 1/3 of it is done in order to be able to show the art that I have, both the covers. Like I mentioned, 10 of them are already written, so it's definitely all written. It's all been looked over by Janice Hardy, the author of the series, and Zilson already has the pages. Oh, and I should say this: as soon as a page is done and approved for the art, it goes right to the colorist and the letterer. So they are only a half a step behind the artist. It's not like the artist gets everything done and then they're going to have to get the project and start from there. So no, it's like a production line. So, if I've got, let's just say 15 pages done, there's probably 14 done with coloring and lettering too. So it's
awesome.
Yeah, it's all moving right along.
Nice.
Very good. And how many, I might have missed this before, how many pages is this? For the
issue 1 will be 28 pages.
Yep.
Okay.
Like 4 pages of book to 1 page of comic. Is that about right?
It's pretty close. Yeah. Ooh, look at you doing math on stream.
I know.
It's almost like they're a cyborg and that's all they do.
So yeah, you're right. 94 pages of novel are covered in 28 pages of comic.
Awesome.
It's not quite the same ratio for all of the novels. There are some scenes that it doesn't quite work out that way. There is going to be 1 page, and I say this sort of as a precaution. In issue number 2, there will be 1 page that's almost entirely exposition. It can't be avoided. Everything that's in that page has to be there to keep the story moving. So it will be sort of, but I'm not going to do it in talking heads. It's going to be 1 like splash panel with the two main characters and their balloons like maybe down the middle, so that it's like it. I tried to condense that. You just can't. That conversation has to happen. But for the most part, we move it along. The action, and a lot of times the picture tells 1,000 words, just like you've heard a million times. So we don't have to. It's more of a show, not tell, in a lot of situations.
Good. All right, so let's go over the tiers and how people can contribute, because you've got this here. You also had a Kickstarter link, but that only has a couple days left on it.
Yeah, Kickstarter, it just didn't gain the traction. I was hoping because it was all ages, it would grab the attention, but it wasn't one of those things that they select as projects that we love, and there's really no way to ask them to do that. They just sort of have to stumble across your campaign and promote it. And it just didn't happen over there on Kickstarter.
Yeah, they only love projects that explode without them. Then they bandwagon.
Yeah, true. Yeah, very true.
All right, so first up, you have $18, the Renzo Rodriguez variant.
Yes.
And that's like your highlighted one, it seems.
It is. It's.
Okay.
I'd like to do that because Renzo is such a great person to work with. He's been on several of my comics in the past. He did the infamous ass grab cover of Projectile Reptile. So I'd like to feature it when he contributes to a campaign.
Nice. All right. So what do we have here then?
So this is the making of the ash can for just $8. You can add that on.
Okay.
This is the coloring book for just $10. It's 22 pages. The cover and back cover obviously will be color. Everything else black and white because you need to add your color.
Yeah, very good. All right, and then we have the Healing War tier.
Yes. I'm looking puzzled because I think there's a couple of tiers missing.
Did they have?
Like they're out of order.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, look at that. They're kind of out of order. Interesting.
Okay,
Is
talk
there
about
a
this
tier?
one.
Okay, sure. Let's do that. So the Healing Wars tier is everything all together. You get both covers, the ash can, the coloring book, the 3D printed Danello's blade, and then of course any stretch goals we reach.
Fantastic. All right, and then you have 45, the Healers League tier.
This one here gives you both covers, the ash can and the coloring book, plus the stretch goals, and just omits the 3D printed.
Nice.
In case you don't have room on your shelf anymore.
Right, exactly.
Too many elves.
Then you have the one-of-a-kind sketch card, and this is just the sketch card, correct?
Yeah, it's just the sketch card, and it's the only one in existence. I'm almost reluctant to let it go because it's so cool, and then I won't even have it, but yes, it's the only one. Truly one of a kind.
Interesting.
And then
okay, so...
I see that the main cover tier isn't there. So I'm glad we went over the tiers like this. I've got to look to see what happened. So now you can
go fix it.
Yeah. The main cover is kind of important too. I really like it, so definitely have to make sure that's available.
Well, see, this is why we do this.
We worked very hard on that cover to make it very cinematic. I tried to make it look like a movie poster.
Because it looks good.
Because wouldn't it be awesome if somebody who isn't going to be overly woke and destroy it, if somebody from Hollywood were to say to Janice Hardy, hey, this looks amazing, let's make a live action movie. Now, yeah, naturally Janice is going to get the money, but a couple of dollars might come Dojo Kun's way. if people see that and then want to see the comic book, so maybe. If Hollywood's listening, hit up your girl, Janice.
This is awesome, though. This looks like a really fun campaign. I love that you're taking a novel series that you enjoyed and are working with the original, the author, to make sure that you're staying true to her story and her vision and her world, but bringing it in a new form. because
Right. Yes. She brings
there's
obviously the writer's talent, the writer's
Yeah.
bent, and her vision. And then with having been a comic book collector for over 50 years now, I'm going to bring that sort of flavor to it.
Absolutely. And this is one of the reasons I love comics is because I have a hard time getting through novels. Like I don't have the attention span for a lot of them, and so I end up missing out on a lot of really great stories because I literally can't. I know, Sai, I literally have a hard time actually reading.
Now that you're on drugs, you should give that a shot again.
I forgot to take my drugs today, though, by the way.
Oh my God. So real quick, while I've interrupted. So thank you for your 26 months as a member, King Leek. Howdy from above the clouds. Shae's hair is redder than usual today. That's because it's not Shae's hair. Book looks good. Thank you, Leek. And safe flying.
Thank you, Leek.
Yes, be safe. Did you have other things you wanted to say, Sai? I know that I always railroad you.
No. So here's the thing. If I don't get to talk, those things just leave my mind. I stay in the moment. So once the moment passes, I like the sword.
The sword is fun. I like how it's like a khopesh.
Yeah.
However, imagine trying to find the right sheath for that.
Yeah, that, and I'm really interested in whether or not the inside of that curve is actually sharp. I imagine not, but I mean that would be a really good, grab you by the neck and bring you wherever.
It's meant to be sharp, so yes, you're on the right track with that. So you can thrust, and if you miss, you can still get them on the back as you bring the sword back to you. You can hook them with that, and or if you do put it in them, you can do more damage taking it back out.
Yeah, that's like shoving a bowling ball through someone.
It's a barbed sword.
He needs to say "get over here" anytime he actually catches someone with that.
Right.
Terrible. Well, is there any other bits about this campaign that you want to let us know before we wrap up?
Just know that we've got a long way to go, so if now's not the right time, come back to us on FundMyComic. It's a fantastic site that Luke's put together. It's very easy to do as a creator to put your campaign on here, and it's easy to back. Things come a la carte, so you can add any of these things to the backing and support us. You got plenty of time to come back, next payday, the payday after that, but don't forget us. Make sure you come back and back the shifter.
Absolutely.
Back the shifter out of it.
Oh my God. Sai, do you have any other last minute questions or anything for Brian before we go?
No, but how many outfits did you go through to make today's cosplay? A few.
Yeah.
Shae was trying on clothes last night, and I wanna give a huge shout out to my co-host because she tries so hard for these cosplays, and she has such a pile of shit to go back to Amazon at this point that either didn't fit or didn't work out for the cosplay. Several cosplays and other projects that she really puts her heart and soul into this channel. So I just wanted to say thank you.
She does a great job with the cosplays every time. I mean, last time when she did the boob window and had to, had to sort of...
Did not go well. Did not go well at all. That boob window, that got real big real fast somehow.
I appreciate all the effort you put into it.
I think it was the fans putting their heads together and telekinetically just popping some stitch.
It could have been because that cat head when I started was about like this, and when I finished it was about like that. I don't know what happened in the end.
I think
people liked it.
Would have all appreciated it. Yeah,
that's exactly what I'm saying.
They would have. I wanted to maintain a channel, so we didn't do it.
I think that would have made your channel blow up.
Yeah,
maybe, and then YouTube might have taken us down. Who knows? All right. Well, I did not download the trailer like I normally do because I did forget about that, but I do have it to play, and so Sai, we're just gonna do it the old-fashioned way. Sound good to you?
Okay, so drop everybody and then share your screen.
All right. We'll just, you know what? We're just gonna. Oh no.
That's not the one.
That's not.
Others with this gift can take pain from a person and transfer it into the cobalt blue metal known as pinvium. But Naya's gift is flawed. She can only transfer pain from one person to another. Orphaned on an island nation occupied by a conquering enemy and trying to locate her missing sister, Naya has to make sure they don't find out, or she'll be weaponized against her own people. Be sure to back Janice Hardy's The Healing Wars, Book 1, Part 1, The Shifter, from Dojo Kun Comics.